I don't know if I'm gonna put this at the end of the video or the beginning, but so that was a clip or a series of clips from a training that I did this morning for Your Rich Life app, and the Alliance is about an hour-long training that I did for them. But this part um of it I thought was really important because most people really fail when it comes to the internal work, the mindset, really creating a routine or a habitual process for themselves. And so, what I wanted to do and what I want to do is break down to you the easiest way to create your own routine to make it a part of your life. Because if you are not creating these habitual patterns and these routines for the internal work, the frequency work, the mindset work, the shifting your programming, it's not going to last. And you're going to find yourself saying things don't work when the reality is you really aren't putting in the work. You really have to put in your all. So, yeah, I'm going to put this in the beginning. I'm going to hush, and I am going to add little pieces of the training to give you some insight. I'm going to share with you a couple of tips on creating this pattern and this routine. And I really pray that really helps you in your process of shifting your life, whether you're, looking to co-create more money in your life or love or whatever it is. Like, this is the seriousness in which you have to approach it. So let me hush. Happy Monday. Hello, hello, hello. We are gearing up for big bag summer. So whether you are watching this in real time, like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, I think big bag summer starts Wednesday or Thursday, whatever the 19th is, my dates, but it's one of those. Or if it's after that period, welcome. Something I don't talk about often publicly is how easy it is to get out of routine, how easy it is to move to a space of like, oh, I've got this. I've got like I'm healed. I'm fixed, right? Like my programming is done. And it's a place that I've caught myself many times. Honestly, more times than I actually want to admit, because this is my work. So imagine it's my work, and then I'm like, all right, and then you just kind of fall off the routine. And one of the things we really have to try to work on is shifting from routine to habit, to the point that if you don't do it, it feels uncomfortable. But if you see this later, if it's around, that you work to consciously make this a habit. And at one point, it used to be said, I want to say it was 28 days made a habit, but I don't know that that is necessarily true. I think it's a habit when it's a part of your programming. So most people don't think of routines and habits as programming, but they are. I think about how I don't have to even second guess. I'm going to do a couple of things when I wake up. I'm going to wake up, and once I get out the bed, first thing I'm going to do is go potty, right? I'm going to go potty. When I get done pottying and I come back, wash my hands, I am going to brush my teeth and wash my face. It typically goes in that order, unless I got up at like 2 o'clock in the morning to use the bathroom, then I'm going back to bed. But if I'm getting up for the day, use the bathroom, brush my teeth, wash my face. And it's not even anything to be thought about. It is muscle memory is what we're doing here. And even though I feel uncomfortable if I go to sleep and I haven't done any movement, I can go to sleep without movement. And after a couple of days of going to sleep without movement, I will find myself reverting back to having to fight to like, right? Like, and the truth is, I don't ever really want to do it. But if I go a day, like it feels weird to not do it, right? So it's because wake up, use the bathroom, brush your teeth, wash your face has been a part of my life since I got teeth, right? Like that is what your mother, your father did for you before you were able to brush your own teeth, and then you began to do it yourself. There's a process. Some of you feel uncomfortable going to sleep without showering. Some people feel uncomfortable leaving their home without showering in the morning. And some people feel uncomfortable without doing them both. They've become habits for you, especially if it's something you've been doing over the course of your life. Well, like the working out, this internal work, this subconscious work, and the conscious work, because you guys have heard me say many times during the process, conscious activates the subconscious. During this time, you can do this work every day for a year, 2, 3. And yeah, you might feel uncomfortable if you're not doing something specific over a couple of days, but you can easily get back into a different routine and get too busy. I have never in my life gotten too busy to use the bathroom when I woke up. I have never in my life been too busy to brush my teeth and wash my face. There is not that much rushing in the world. But notice for these other things, how we'll get busy. For these other things, we'll get too busy to move our body. We'll get too busy to read. We'll get too busy to journal. We'll get too busy to meditate. We'll get too busy to affirm. We'll get too busy to watch content like this because you're too busy. You'll get too busy to listen to the podcast. But are you? You're not too busy to use the bathroom. You're not too busy to brush your teeth and wash your face. And you may say, well, Stephanie, that doesn't take that long. You can find ways to get this work done that doesn't take long either. You've just decided not to because it's not yet a part of your habitual way of being. It's not subconscious yet. So as many years as I've been doing this work, my work is not automatically subconscious. I have to make it a part of my routine. I don't know how long it will take, but it's been way more than 28 days. Of not stopping, I have consciously done this work for 2 and 3 years at a time, and it still hadn't become so habitual. I mean, it took a while to get to the point that's like, oh, I'm skipping days and I'm doing this and doing that, right? It did take a while, but I did still get there, right? And so I've done that many a times, and I have to go back and remind myself, like when I start seeing my life looking a little different, I have to remind myself, girl, have you been doing your work? This is your work. Yeah, this is what we were not supposed to be going into this, but you must need to hear it. So this is your work. And I like to say that really the ultimate work, the only work you're really responsible for is this. This is your job. Because if you do this, the rest of your job takes care of itself. Your job is to make sure you are aligned on a mental, spiritual, and physical level, that you are doing your conscious and your subconscious work, that you're ensuring that your frequency is that aligned with that which you desire. This is your work, focusing on your money. This is your work, the internal work. So I still have to go in and make it a part of my routine. So I want to give you, again, this wasn't really a part of doing today, but I want to give you a couple of things that help really for me. I used to read book form a lot, like regular book form. You'll see here, I have our book that we're reading this month, Secrets of a Millionaire Mind. And I don't have this on audiobook. Like you guys see, it's highlighted all the way through. But for my mindset and my quantum work, a lot of times for me just to sit down, like you may be looking at my face right now. Sometimes for me just to sit down and look, it's very difficult for me. I don't know if it's because I'm not neurotypical or what it is. Like I really don't know. So for me, a lot of times, if I sit down and I don't have anything to do, I'm going to grab a book. But most of the time I'm doing something. I'm cooking. Like when I'm done here and I finish typing this newsletter, I'm going to go cook dinner. So I can cook dinner and just listen to the sounds of the stove. I could turn on music. I doubt if you can hear it, but I like keep music playing on our surround sound all day, turn pretty low. Or I can turn on an audiobook, or I can turn on a podcast, or I can turn on one of my subliminals or my affirmative audios, which I really love during the daytime. Or I could turn on a podcast, right? Or I can listen to one of my old videos. So I go through my content. My content is like, it's not that many doctors who do this work. So it's like, I'm either go listen to my own that I've created, or I'm going to go buy somebody else's. And like, why would I do that? And this is my work. Like, I spent thousands going back to school. Like, why would I do that? So I do listen to my own content. I do go through, and a lot of times, even, before I got this far, before I went back to school, I would be teaching something. And if you've ever been in any of my programs, you've heard me say, oh, that was good, Stephanie, girl, you need to remember that, write that down, because I will say things and I'm like, oh, that's good. That's a good reminder for you, right? If you've come to any of our office hours, community calls, you've probably heard me say that before. And so it's important for you to recognize that no matter what your life looks like, you have to make it so that you're not too busy for your work. So one of the things that I've started more recently is when I wake up, because I actually grab my phone before I get up. I grab my phone now and I turn on some sort of audio that has something to do with that internal work. I'm just going to turn it on. The easiest is one of my tried and true Audible books, the ones that I love. You guys know the ones I love. I talk about them all the time, The Game of Life and How to Play It, The Science of Getting Rich. Think and Grow Rich kind of falls back in it. I'll actually do a list again if you guys want me to, because some of them, like right off the top of my head, I can't think of the name of. But the easiest is to turn on one of those and then get up and start my morning routine. I also have a speaker in my room. Surround sound is downstairs in my home. Upstairs in my home, I don't have surround sound, but I do have a speaker, or I could just turn my phone on, or I could just put earbuds in if I would quit losing them. But I now, that routine of use the bathroom, brush my teeth, wash my face, I do it with the audio on. I also went and bought a speaker that's specifically for the shower. So like speakers that's outside, you say you're in the shower, you can't hear. I now have a shower speaker. I have made it so that it's difficult for me not to. If I don't get it in, it's because I decided it wasn't important enough. Now I want you to hear that. That doesn't even sound right coming out of my mouth, but I want to tell you, if you're not getting it in, you decided it's not important enough for you to get it in. Last note, and then we're going to get into this, being open for receiving conversation. That was actually the point of me being here today. And we've gone on a tangent, and that's okay. Only because I believe that I probably only went on it because someone needs to hear it. Like, it's just important that you make it where there is no choice except for you to do it. Like, there are no excuses. By default, us saying no to one thing is us saying yes to something else. So I know what I was going to say now, but us saying, hopefully I remember because I want to finish this, us saying no to the work that we need to be doing, to always be listening to something that's feeding our mind, our body, our spirit, that's shifting and changing us. Us saying no to that is automatically saying no or yes to the things we don't want. It's us saying yes to, not having the continuous revenue flows we want, not having the continuous sales, not getting the promotion at work, not having the love. Like, because you guys know this work is about everything. Again, I focus on money, but I always remind you this work is about everything. And it works with everything in your life, right? So you're saying no to doing those things, whether you're saying no consciously or unconsciously, by default, you're saying yes to something else. And when you say yes to something, you're saying no to something else. So when you say yes to doing that work, and yes to creating a routine, and yes, if you got to put it on your calendar, and yes, if you need to turn on your timers, and yes to, yes, I'm going to watch this instead of watching this, and I really want to watch it. When you do that, you're automatically saying no to something else.